In a small medieval village, young Jack lived with his mother, in a humble, run-down cottage. Times were hard, and their cupboards were almost bare. One morning, Jack's mother showed him their last piece of bread, despair in her eyes. They had to sell their beloved cow, Milky White, to survive. Jack hugged Milky White goodbye, his heart heavy, as his mother handed him the rope. He was to take their dear cow to market and get the best price. On the way, Jack met a mysterious old man who offered him 5 ordinary-looking beans for Milky White, claiming they were magical. Despite his doubts, Jack traded Milky White for the beans. The old man and cow vanished, leaving Jack, clutching the beans, filled with wonder and fear. His mother was furious. She snatched the beans and threw them out the window, sending Jack to bed without supper, despairing over his foolishness. Jack lay in bed, regretting his choice, when strange sounds stirred him awake. Outside, an enormous beanstalk rose from the garden, reaching the clouds. Amazed, Jack decided to climb the magical beanstalk. His mother protested, but he was determined to find treasure and fix his mistake. Jack climbed higher and higher, the village shrinking below, until he reached a dense layer of clouds. He pushed through, emerging into a new, surreal world. In the distance, a massive stone castle rose from the clouds, dwarfing everything around it. Jack, tiny in this giant world, cautiously made his way towards it. He found a small drain opening, squeezed through, and entered an enormous courtyard, where everything was built for beings much larger than himself. Slipping through a slightly ajar main door, Jack entered a vast great hall, where an enormous fireplace roared and giant furniture filled the echoing space. Suddenly, thunderous footsteps made the hall vibrate. Jack barely dove under a chair as the giant's wife, a huge but kind woman, entered. The giant's wife spotted Jack, but instead of alarm, her large, kind face showed sympathy. She gently picked him up, offering him food and a warning. Suddenly, a deeper boom shook the castle. The giant was home. His wife quickly hid Jack inside a cold oven, just as the terrifying giant entered. The giant sniffed the air, roaring, "Fee, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." He then demanded his treasures, starting with piles of glittering gold coins. Next, the giant commanded his golden goose to lay, and she instantly produced a gleaming golden egg, amazing Jack. Finally, the giant called for his magic harp. It played and sang itself, lulling the giant into a deep, thunderous sleep. Seeing his chance, Jack silently climbed out of the oven. He scaled the giant table leg and carefully approached the treasures. Jack took the golden goose, but as he reached for the harp, it cried out, "Master! Master!" The giant's snoring stopped. Jack was caught. The giant's eyes snapped open, his face contorted in rage. He roared thief, and lunged for Jack, who scrambled across the table, goose in hand. Jack jumped off the table, hitting the floor hard, and raced across the great hall. The giant rose, his booming footsteps shaking the castle in pursuit. He squeezed through the main door, escaping into the courtyard, the giant's massive hand scraping the wall as Jack dove through a gap. Jack raced across the cloud landscape towards the beanstalk, the giant's thunderous footsteps trembling the clouds behind him. He began a desperate climb down the beanstalk, the giant descending after him, causing the massive vine to shake violently. Breaking through the clouds, Jack saw his tiny cottage below. He screamed to his mother, "Get the axe," as the giant pursued him closely. Jack dropped the last few feet to the ground, grabbing the axe from his mother. With fierce determination, he began chopping the beanstalk. With one final, powerful swing, Jack severed the beanstalk. It shuddered, then crashed down with a mighty roar, carrying the giant with it. Silence fell. Jack and his mother embraced, safe at last, as the golden goose calmly laid a gleaming egg, promising an end to their hardships. With their new magical friend, Jack and his mother transformed their lives, turning their cottage into a comfortable, prosperous home. They used their wealth wisely, not just for themselves, but to help their struggling neighbors, quietly spreading good fortune throughout the village. One evening, the mysterious old man reappeared, smiling knowingly at Jack, a silent nod of approval for the good he had done. Years passed. Jack grew into a strong, confident young man, a respected leader, always remembering the adventure that changed his life. He kept the last golden egg and a single bean from the original 5 as reminders, passing on his story and lessons to the village children. Jack taught them that true treasures weren't in the clouds, but in the courage to climb, the wisdom to choose, and the love of family and home. As the sun set, Jack and his mother, filled with contentment, watched their happy village, knowing the greatest magic was the life they had built together.